So this is the full Chaos to Clarity guide, and it's extremely extensive. So it took me an entire year to actually build it, to make sense of it for myself, and to optimize it, and actually to build all of the stuff. So I tested it out for an entire year, and it works pretty good. And now I also optimize it so well, hopefully for you, that is, I think, quite actionable and really helpful. I hope so. Let me know. Okay, so the Chaos to Clarity framework is actually categorized in 6 different steps, which we are going to talk about. And I would recommend to take up a note. And if you need to, you can also break down this entire video into different steps, where we talk about first, for example, about the para method. So you can make your notes entirely for that. Then we're going to talk about the 4 domains of mastery, then the colored mind, then the mastery notes, and the web of knowledge. And the last one is the 90-day challenges. And the Chaos to Clarity is a specific framework I've built that helps ADHD people to turn scattered thoughts into a clear, usable life system. And these 6 different steps, which I can just show you here. So for example, the para method by Tiago Forte is for a folder structure. Then we have the 4 domains of mastery are a hierarchical structure for learning and thinking. Then we have the colors, the colored mind, which creates an instant visual categorization. So you see it right away and you know, okay, that's how it's going to be structured and organized. And then we have the mastery notes, which makes your notes useful, because most people don't have useful notes, which I definitely had not for 25 years, which is based on a Zettelkasten method or system by Niklas Luhmann. Then we have 5 to make your ideas stand out, which is the web of knowledge. This is quite extensive so far, but this is actually for being a creatorpreneur or a personal brand. And then we have the last one, which is the 90-day challenges, which is an actionable way to achieve your goals. This is actually how I started this entire business a year ago, based on the book 12-Week Year, and then you categorize things into weekly projects, which we'll talk about at the end. So a short self-promotion. If you want to download the templates, because all of the content I share is entirely for free, you can build them by yourself, everything, understand how the methods work. But if you want to download the templates, the Cortex templates, and in the future, in 1 or 2 weeks, the Notion templates, or you also want to grow on your threads. So I gained, for example, this month, 3.9 million views, and in 6 months, 21,000 followers here on my threads about talking about ADHD, mental organization, and creatorpreneurship. You can join the community, which costs $10 a month, which you get all of the stuff here, which is still an early bird. And because it is an early bird, you can join for a discount. So if you put on the yearly plan, which I can't do because I'm the admin, but if you put down the code YouTube, the promo code YouTube, you get 50% off for the entire year. So you actually just pay $5 per month and getting all of the templates I'm talking right now in this video, or in the future, Cortex, Notion, and probably a few more softwares are joining the communities. And yeah, hope you're going to like it. And yeah, let's continue the video. Okay, we're starting off the para method by Tiago Forte. So Tiago Forte created this folder structure which calls the para method, which is to organize or help you organize your digital life without feeling overwhelmed. And he broke this down into 4 different categories: projects, areas, resources, and archive. And to kind of not get overwhelmed, or if you're somewhere on the go and don't really have the time to organize it, he created the inbox folder. So for example, you have one specific folder where you drop your information down, notes, PDFs, whatever, and you organize it later on. And you organize it later on into projects, areas, resources, and archive. So projects, which I will talk about at the end at number 6, the 90-day challenges, projects have a specific end in mind. They're actionable, and let's say they have an end like 90 days. So they always have a goal, achieve goal X in 90 days, for example. Then second of all, we have areas. Areas are actionable without an end. Roles, responsibility, ongoing maintenance, never completed, and are also actionable. Like a YouTube channel, your business, threats content, or whatever. Things you constantly going to do or improve. For example, health, etc. Then we have resources, and resources are not actionable. Any topic of ongoing interest, books, for example, PDF files, articles, inspired for future projects, and are not actionable just when needed. As I explained, PDFs, etc., kind of like a storage for your documents, which you can take out information, but you don't really use information actionable in your content. You just pick it out and then put it into areas and projects. Okay. And then we have the archive, which is kind of like the rubbish bin, which the stuff is never going to be deleted. So you have inactive items, right? So if you finish up a project, you can put this one into archive. Got it, okay? Now we're talking about the 4 domains of mastery. So the 4 domains of mastery looks a bit complex, okay? The 4 domains of mastery was the thing that helped me to organize everything in a hierarchical structure, okay? Which I will talk about with the colors afterwards. So, the 4 domains of mastery are these 4 categories, which is number 4, mind mastery, but we start with mind mastery, okay? Why do we start with mind mastery? Because everything consists of our minds. And then later on, it turns into productivity, then into the business, which you can see here, and then into the life mastery. So you can think about of a pyramid. The bottom is the mind mastery, then the productivity, then the business, and then the life. Because the entire goal we want to achieve actually is to master our mind, right? And to do this, we first need to master our mind, our life. I hope I said it correctly. We want to first master our mind and our emotions, etc., which then helps us to improve our productivity. When we improve our productivity, we can make money out of it because we're more productive, more effective, more efficient. Then we can master our business, our work, our financial resources. And when we accomplish this, we actually also master our lives, which is relationships, which is health, because the more financial resources you have, the better in most cases your health is going to be, because you have more money to afford things, and then you also can have better relationships with your kids and your wife or husband because you're less stressed, okay? Because you have money, you have resources, etc. And then this gets into a loop, right? And then because you have a life mastery, you also have a better peace of mind, okay? These are the 4 domains of mastery. So everything what we want to master is kind of like creating this hierarchy, right? We all want to master these 4 domains. It is actually health, wealth, and relationships, just more actionable and more understandable, or more structured and hierarchical. And in the middle is the mind universe. This is more like branding, which we're not going to talk about in this video. The mind universe is a specific branding framework which explains your entire system or thinking system, but we're not going to talk about it. Okay. And you can think about everything as a pyramid, right? You have the mind, and the mind, for example, it's just an example. This is getting extremely extensive, okay? We have the mind, and things are categorized into ADHD mastery and psychology mastery, for example. And then we break it down even more into, for example, psychology, depression, trauma, or ADHD, hypersensitivity, ADHD symptoms. Same goes to productivity mastery. We have productivity mastery, which maybe consists of flow mastery and habit mastery, okay? This is really important. So red is the highest category, which is productivity mastery, the topic we want to master. And to help us to master productivity, we need to master flow, habit, and other content, right? So a short explanation here to just understand the complexity of it. So when we are looking at here in Cortex, we have productivity mastery, which consists of flow mastery, system mastery, creativity mastery, habit mastery, problem solving, organization, communication, focus, rest, gamification. So all of them are subcategories of red, productivity mastery, and are orange. And then underneath this orange category, we have even more categories like flow triggers, flow blockers, etc. I hope this is understandable. Same goes to business mastery. Business mastery is one of the categories to master business's content, like YouTube and threads. If you master YouTube, threads, Instagram, whatever, we master content. And when we master content, we master our business to some extent because it is an important part of business. Same as with money. If we master urgency and scarcity, we can master money. And when we master money, we can also master our business. Okay. Same goes to life mastery. When we master ourself, agency and confidence, or we master conflict resolution and attachment style, we can master our relationship, which then consists of mastering our life. Okay. So all of this gets extremely complex and big because it is a learning system in a hierarchical order, so you know where things are categorized. So your mind becomes more prioritized, first of all, and more hierarchically structured with colors. Okay, this might be the most difficult topic, but I hope you follow me along. So yeah, you can put this one in a note-taking system like this one here, okay? Now we're talking about the colored mind. So the colored mind actually explains the 4 domains of mastery, okay? So the colored mind consists of actually red, orange, yellow, and white. Or if we include branding into this one, the mind universe, we have a purple in the middle, but some people don't want to do branding or don't want to have a business, so they don't really need to have this one, okay? Which would be helpful, but we keep it away in this way. So the colored mind, as I explained, consists of red, orange, and yellow, the categories. And then there's one category underneath, which is white, which is no tag in some way, or the baby tag, okay? We can also call this one, baby tag, okay? So to follow this one along a bit easier, we call it baby tag. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, the hierarchical structure. So as I explained before, we have this pyramid, right? We start with red, which are the 4 domains of mastery, which consists of orange, these things we want to master the 4 domains of mastery. And then we have yellow, things like flow trigger, ADHD symptoms, etc., to master ADHD, flow, etc., to then master one of the 4 domains of mastery, okay? And there's 2 different ways to understand it. We can first think about a pyramid to go up the pyramid of life, or the hierarchy to achieve enlightenment in some way. How the pyramids, for example, were built or something. And then we also have a web of knowledge. Well, I will talk about this in a minute, but there's this circle, understandable, right? So you can think about this like the Big Bang, the universe, whatever. Everything starts in the middle, right? And then from there on goes bigger. So the point why I'm doing this dart way or this circle way is that the more you go into the center, the smaller it gets, right? So for example, the 4 domains of mastery only consists of 4, right? It's not more than 4. But orange, I explain it again. So orange, for example, here, as you can see, orange is far more, right? Orange is all of that universe, self-mastery, world mastery. It is quite complex. But if we put everything down into these 4 things, we only have 4, right? So the more it gets out, the bigger it gets. The more it gets in, the smaller it gets, right? So Red just consists of 4. Orange consists of, I don't know, 20, 30 per one category or one domain. And then we have yellow, which consists even more of it, right? So it is an infinite game. Like, it's never complete. And then we have white, which is infinitely wide, right? Like, white is just an entire document is white. Like, you could be infinitely long because knowledge is infinite. You will never know everything. It's impossible because it's infinitum, right? Okay. And the smallest part is purple, which is branding, which only consists of one thing, which is the mind universe. But we're not talking about this one here. Just keep this in mind when we're talking in another episode about branding, okay? Then it becomes useful. Okay, now we're talking about mastery notes. So mastery notes, the main purpose of mastery notes, as I explained before, is to make notes useful because most notes are not useful. Most people, like myself and included in the past for 25 years, I was just jagging down information into Apple Notes, right? And I will never find them ever again in my entire life. Okay, and the mastery notes consist of the Zettelkasten method by Niklas Luhmann. And the Zettelkasten system, in short explained here, he used to manage over 90,000 interlinked notes, which became the foundation for more than 70 books and 400 academic papers. Seems like the system works pretty well. And I built the system up-down into mastery notes to serve the purpose of mastering the 4 domains, right? The 4 domains of mastery. And the mastery notes are there to master these 4 domains: learning, thinking, etc. So as you can see here, the mastery notes consist of the 4 domains of mastery, which is a linked node, and the colored mind, which is another linked node. So these 2 things which we just talked about creates the organized mind and mastery nodes, okay? So the mastery nodes consist of metadata and connections, which is just how we think about this hierarchically. So you can just see this one again and you can connect these nodes in a hierarchical way, which you don't really need to. And the Zettelkasten system is there to make the nodes useful. So in this sense here, when we have the mastery nodes, for example, we have the template here. It consists of a clarity framework, which helps me, for example, to explain things more easily because most people or ADHD sometimes makes it difficult to explain things. So I broke this down even more to a clarity framework. So the main idea is what it is, etc. Then we have the persuasive framework. This is actually the part which makes the notes useful. So we have a main message, a goal we want to achieve. What is the main message of this specific node we're going to talk about, right? Whatever it is. Let's say you want to understand your mind, and the main message of this document is how to find clarity with your mind. Then we have a problem, to illustrate the problem or pain point, which can be the hook itself. The mind is based on problems, right? When you have a specific problem, you're going to find a solution, right? So you always need to have a problem first to then find a solution. So you have a hook, like in the video. Hey, the problem is, or how to lose weight in 10 days or something. Or you can't lose weight. Here's a better system for that. Then you showcase the solution and the framework. And then you showcase things with examples. For example, ideally with a story from yourself. Hey, I was struggling with my ADHD for 25 years. I wasn't able to focus. I had no clarity in my mind. I was constantly overwhelmed and chaotic. And then I came up with a chaos to clarity method, which started to organize my mind in a year. And then you explain a story about what happened, how you had a chaotic entropic mind, and then you have a goal, and then you explain how you accomplished this goal, which then solves the main message, how to organize your mind with the chaos to clarity method, whatever. Okay. Yeah. So every node have this structure. First, what is the main message? What is the main problem? And how are we going to achieve this? Then there's a story, an example, then the actual solution, how to achieve this one, and then we are solving the problem and the main message of this document. So the clarity framework, as I explained shortly, helps me with ADHD to explain things better. And then we have the clarity dump, which you can do for yourself. It is just a definition. So you understand, okay, if there's a word you don't understand, you can write it down. Then I do runs, and then I have running notes based on runs, and then I write them down for specific categories, which we are not talking about here. Then we have research, ChatGPT, resources, information, okay? And then now comes probably the most complex part, okay? And this is the web of knowledge. So as I explained here, the mastery notes later on transitions to the web of knowledge. So for example, if you download the template mastery notes link below, you get this web of knowledge here. This is the web of knowledge. There's a prompt and there's a web of knowledge explanation how this entire system works. And this web of knowledge consists of 7 different categories. And all of that is to build a better brand, okay? The main point you want to achieve is to become a better creatorpreneur, okay? This is the entire sense of the web of knowledge. So there's so many creators talking about philosophies, concepts, people like Dan Koh or something online. All of these people have such an extensive and complex brand, but are able to narrow it down to make it understandable for the viewer, which I'm trying to create, right? I'm trying to create this way of thinking and explanation. Not sure if I'm good at it, but that's what I'm trying to aim. And it took me a long time to understand, like, what are actually philosophies, what are concepts, and in which specific hierarchy do we need to understand it, right? So I was actually narrowing down this web of knowledge into a 7-step framework, okay? So we start with a philosophy, why we're doing something, then about the concept. Maybe I will explain this one a bit better here. Okay, so the web of knowledge is explained in 7 different categories. We have the philosophy, and the philosophy is what you believe. A philosophy is your core worldview about reality, truth, work, people, and meaning. It defines what matters before any methods exists. Then we have a concept, what you name. A concept is a compressed idea container that makes complex reality thinkable, teachable, and transferable. Language enables thinking at scale. Then we have idea, what you propose. An idea is a specific insight, hypothesis, or possibility derived from one or more concepts. Okay? Then we have the framework, how you think. A framework is a structured cognitive model used to analyze and decide and design. Chaos to clarity. Eisenhower matrix. Chaos to clarity model, as you can see here. Then we have number 5, which are the unique mechanisms. Why it works differently. Why do you want to stand out? Why is the chaos to clarity method better than the para method, for example, or better for ADHD people? It is a unique mechanism. The unique mechanism is the non-obvious causal engine that makes a method or system produce asymmetric, defensible results. ADHD, flow cycles, whatever. 6 is process, how work moves. A process is a finite sequence with actionable steps that transforms input into output. And then we have 7, which is the system, how it runs forever. A system is a self-sustaining network of processes with feedback loops. So it gets super extensive with systems, and systems is the end goal. And one of the problems I had is that I just had no idea how to structure it. And since I came up with the web of knowledge, it makes it more understandable to follow along these things. So I always think, okay, about the philosophy and the concepts and the ideas first, and then I make it, or I continue it with frameworks, mechanisms, processes, and systems. Okay, this is probably the most complex thing so far, which I probably need to explain another time. Okay, and now we have number 6, which is the 90-day challenges. So the 90-day challenges consists of breaking down your entire year into actionable frameworks. So we can understand this one here again. A 90-day challenge is a short focused season where you pick one clear goal and build the habits to make it real. It creates momentum without the overwhelm of long-term planning. Because the problem is, most people try to have a 1-year goal, but 1 year is just too big. You need to break it down into 90 days. This is also a specific business framework, actually, from I think Mission and Vision or something. But yeah, okay, let's break it down. So what you're going to do with the 90-day challenges is you put your year into 4 different quarters, right? Understandable. You have January, February, and March. You have April, which is orange. You have April, May, and June. Then you have yellow, which is August, September, and October. Oh no, I probably completely fucked it up. July, I forgot July. You have July, August, September. And then for the white one, you have October, November, and December, right? And then you have a break. You have Christmas. So you take a rest if you want to, and you finish it up on the 21st of December. This is the first day of your little Christmas vacation. Okay, and I broke everything down into 90-day challenges. So 90-day challenges consists of 90 days, and you have 12 weeks of operational things, right? And these 12 weeks consist of a book called The 12-Week Year, How to Achieve Your Goals or Your 1-Year Goals in 90 days. So you have 84 days, which are 12 weeks, to grind on your one most urgent goal. Let's say you want to start a business in 90 days. And this is, for example, 1st of January until the 1st of April, before challenge 2 starts. And for this one, you only pick one goal you want to achieve, only one, not 2. And then you break this one big goal down, like start a business in 90 days, into 3 months. You break it down into 3 times 4 weeks, like 1 month, 3 goals. And these 3 goals should serve the purpose of this one goal. So you have this one goal, which is starting a business in 90 days. And then you put this one into 3 months. And then you only think of the first month, like let's say you want to start creating content and want to create consistency with content creation. Oops, I need to do it this way. Then month 2 is building a product, for example, which is number 2. So you only focus on month 2 about building this product. And then on month 3, you're selling this product. So goal number 3 from the 3rd month would be to only focus on sales. And this is the 12-week year from the book. And then we have 6 days rest, reflection. We think about what went well, what went wrong. And then challenge 2 starts, and then challenge 3, and then challenge 4, and then we have Christmas, okay? And now comes the most important part about the process of the weekly projects. So we have the weekly projects, which consist of breaking your entire week into one specific topic. So for example, I do this one with newsletters. I talk about entropy and how to reinvent yourself for 2026. So entropy and reinventing yourself comes together. So I write 2 newsletters this week. One is this one here, the hidden productivity enemy. And Saturday is how to reinvent yourself. And I collect all the information and I focus my entire mind on only reading, consuming ideas about entropy and how to reinvent or recreate yourself. And then I have my weekly threads, which I need to focus on. So every week I need to create thread content which is, for example, Q4, week 11. And then I have daily notes, which is, for example, Monday and Tuesday I'm going to talk about, and so on. And this is how I actually fight my mental overwhelm, because I don't pick 10 topics at once. I only pick one main topic around this thing and only consume information based around this topic. And yeah, and then, everything starts again. And then we have, and this weekly project connects to the para method, which is projects. So everything consists of the project. So this is kind of like a loop. To explain it again, we start with the para method to organize our folders. Then we create the 4 domains of mastery, which are life, business, productivity, and mind. We understand our mind and our information with specific colors: red, orange, yellow, and white. From there on, we create mastery nodes, settle custom system, useful nodes. And then from there on, we can, if we want to build a brand, have the web of knowledge, which is a bit complex, I need to admit. And then at the end, we are breaking this down into weekly weekly projects based on the one goal we want to achieve. Like, what is this one goal we want to achieve in 3 months? And this project is based on the para method. So it's a loop, right? Okay. This was a quite long video. I hope it was understandable. I don't know if my explanation sometimes is good enough, but the system works so far. And yeah, if there's anything, if I should explain it again, please let me know. I will try to optimize it for the next time. But yeah, that's it for this video. See you guys next time.